Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool.
Woo!
That is so fun.
Politics! I love politics! Woo!
Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude.
I love politics so much! It's so
We
fun!
gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media.
God, I
structure
love
and the
politics.
propaganda, dude.
Golly gee.
I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Dude, I
Politics is
love
more complicated
politics so much. Woo!
Waging political capital
Yeah!
in an effective
Let's
way.
go!
Boring.
Let's go!
Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun.
Alright, I'm doing some stuff real quick. Kyle bashing.
Oh boy, my favorite show.
Yeah, baby. This is the real politics.
Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too
Live.
much around here, guys.
Now, talking about Kyle
How dare you?
Kalinske doing,
That is so cool.
doing a
That
big
is
dumb.
So fun.
and the Beau of
Oh
the
my god, dude.
fifth
That's so big, dude.
column drama.
We
Oh,
gotta
we'll
have
talk
a
about
better
the Beau
ground game to
drama.
overpower
Should we
the
start off
corporate
with
media, structure and the propaganda.
What's
right
up,
on the
Cervix? What's
polling.
up, Pedro? What's up, Jay?
right on that. That's
MDHDH.
undisputed
You're
in my
saying
mind.
pragmatic politics is failing?
That's undisputed. In
This
my
is a good
mind.
report that came out. I'll talk about this a little bit.
Politics
I'm
is
trying
more
to record a lot of
complicated.
videos.
Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring.
Where's the mic from
Politics
PA
is more
stuff?
complicated than that.
Here.
That is so cool. That is so fun.
As you can see, Mike from PA obliterated me on Twitter. I decided to bait him during a stream of his, and it worked. I said, as a proud Pennsylvanian, I really don't like Mike from PA. And he commented an article about sewer socialism. Really a good meme. What did Vosh call him? Rat face. Really a good meme. Yeah, so that happened. Cockeyed Rooster, thank you so much for $20. Holy shit. You can't even watch the stream and you're giving me money. You are insane. That's insane. All right. What should I start off with? The Kyle stuff? All right. I guess Kyle Kalinske. Should I do Jimmy DORE too and all of them? Secular talk. Ooh, I didn't see that. Biden compared to Karl Marx on Fox. Yeah, that's true. Lump them all. Maybe I'll make like a part 1 through 10 of Kyle Kalinske, Jimmy DORE, Rising, and Brianna Joy Gray. Okay, I saw this one. I did not see this one yet about this study that came out. Oh, I think it's pretty cringy. I know it helps you get engagement, but I think it's pretty cringy when streamers are about to do a YouTube segment and they're like, "Guys, say hi to YouTube." All right, I gotta sneeze quick. 1 second. I'm muted. I was muted. Shit. Oh, my stream is dying. 1 second. It'll reconnect. Give it a second. I know the stream died for a second. It'll come back. It's the internet. It's The Charles Barkley vid is insane in what way? A good way or a bad way? Can you see me? It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain streaming. Okay, I have to press the record button on here. I celebrated Easter. David Dole, I haven't seen enough of his videos to have a cringe bad. Okay. Kyle Kalinske hate channel time. Excellent connection. All right, we're ready to go. So Kyle Kalinske, AOC donates $160,000 to establishment Dems. They still hate her. All right, so if you approach a political topic with emotional responses, that is not a good sign.
Brings me no pleasure to do this segment yet again.
This is what like Jimmy Dore does. This is what like Breonna Joy Gray does. Crystal Ball, Kyle Kalinske. They say, look at this. They hate you. The Democrats hate you. Why would you work with them? In reality, it doesn't matter who likes you or who hates you. It's politics. You need political power. So if AOC donates money to Democrats to maintain the House, that advances her political power. But they don't care about political power. They care about purity tests. And it's really frustrating to see such an emotional response. You know, if you think AOC is the cause of all your problems in politics, you don't understand politics. It's as simple as that.
I wish this wasn't the case, but it is. Politico is reporting the following. Vulnerable Democrats...
And he believes an article from Politico. The Mr. Independent Media Progressive believes everything he reads and the framing of the stuff he reads in an article from Politico. The only two news sources that reported on this were Fox News and Politico, and they both had a huge bias against AOC. And Kyle Kalinske, when it fits his narrative, is going to take the take the entire article as truth.
Fret after getting a shock. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's campaign cash. Ocasio-Cortez's largesse and an oversight at the campaign headquarters has raised awkward questions among her colleagues. So, let me just sum up for you what happened here. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is donating to centrist establishment Democrats.
Just remember, when we use the phrasing centrist establishment Democrats, who cares what kind of Democrats they are? There are millions of people in this country that may vote progressive someday that love these politicians. You want these voters to consider voting for progressives. Like when AOC went on The View and said that she is like a mama bear to her. AOC didn't call Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear because she actually likes Nancy Pelosi. Your emotions in politics don't matter. Your motivation does, but your emotions don't. When she says something like that, when she does this, she is trying to expand her voter base so progressives can get more voters. That is all that matters. It doesn't matter if you call these people, oh my God, establishment Democrats. Oh my God, they're centrists. Ugh. Dude, we need to go to the voters. We can't keep on rejecting people over purity testing.
Democrats who do this, elected Democrats who do this, they give to the DCCC, which is basically Establishment Democrat Central. And what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did is she didn't go through the DCCC because the DCCC doesn't like her and establishment Democrats don't like her. What she did is she donated directly to the centrist establishment anti-Medicare for all Democrats, directly to their campaigns. Now, the reason why this is a story is many of those Democrats saw that she donated and they were like, I don't want your money. And the reason
by many, he literally means rumors from 3 of them.
I want your money is because you're, a big, bad, far lefty, and the Republicans are going to use this against us, and they're going to use it to say...
Hey, think about it for a second. Is Nancy Pelosi good politically for Democrats? I hear this all the time out of people like Kyle Kalinske. Is she good for Democrats? Does she help Democrats win races? No, Nancy Pelosi is not popular outside of the Democratic Party, but she maintains her power position in the party. Why and how? You know why? And you know how? Because she has connections. She has money coming in. She has a huge fundraising base from corporations, sure. But if AOC, if Bernie Sanders, if they want power within the Democratic Party, they need to prove that they can make the same connections, not corporate, but that they can be a method to winning. Politicians care about winning races. If they think taking corporate money is the way to do that, they're going to do that. If they think going with AOC is the way to do that, they're going to do that. Progressives need to play ball a little bit. Outsiders to literally everything. We need to influence policy and actually start helping voters and be that friendly face. Be a transition. When Nancy Pelosi leaves, when Chuck Schumer leaves, I don't want the Democratic Party to fall to the same exact type of politicians. I want the Democratic Party to go to politicians like AOC. This is how you do that. You don't get a party support. You don't get a support base from voters who you reject, who you say you hate. People love Pete Buttigieg in the party. Kyle Kulinski would never say anything positive about Pete. That is dumb politics. You need to be able to criticize Democrats while at the same time being a Democrat. We don't want to be adverse to the Democratic Party. We want to be the Democratic Party. That is the goal. It's not going to be a hostile takeover or whatever, like Kyle Kulinski said. I don't think he really understands the nuances in this, though.
We're all Democratic socialists.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they hate AOC. They cannot stand AOC. AOC is worse than Bernie Sanders for them because AOC really threatens them in a unique way that Bernie didn't because she wants to be a Democrat. She wants to be the new Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders was an independent, sure. He ran as a Democrat, sure. But AOC's popularity is immense. Woman of color, her position in media is huge. You have to be very careful to talk about her in a negative light because the younger generation likes her so much. She has broad appeal with suburbanites as well, which is a big deal. They really scare her. AOC really scares them for those reasons.
Socialists, and we're for icky things like healthcare and living wages, and we don't want to be dragged down in our more moderate districts, and we can see the attack ads running now that link you to us, and we don't want it, so some of them are returning the money. Now, the next question is, okay, Kyle, how much is she really given? How much did she really give them?
Well, like 5K
according to the article, it's
person.
about $160,000.
Yeah, 5K per candidate, right?
The thing is, a lot of people don't know this. The thing is, she's a phenomenal fundraiser, but she's not a phenomenal fundraiser in the traditional sense where, like, Nancy Pelosi gets all of her money through big financial institutions, through corporate America. And so that's one of the reasons why she's, she's been in government since.
Hey, if you want to criticize AOC for using money that people gave her from grassroots donations, and she took that money and she used it to donate to candidates who the support base doesn't approve of, you can criticize her for that. But if you're going to make a statement like this person said, so this is a progressive that ran in West Virginia. All right, she ran in West Virginia. She saw this article. And after seeing this article, she didn't look into this at all. She is only somewhat known because of Justice Democrats and because of AOC. But she read this article for a second, and she said, this is not what we supported when we started. Pretty sure AOC is battling for what the party wanted her to do, not what will help to pass the policies we need. Wow. How are we going to pass policies that we need if we don't have any political power within the Democratic Party? By yelling from the outside? By not having support? So she says here, I'm highly disappointed with my colleague, and I won't align with her anymore. I mean, okay. I don't think she understands how to get more broad appeal because she ran in West Virginia. The big idea was run on economic populism, right? That's what Kyle Kulinski would say. Run on economic populism and we're going to do better. We're going to do good. We can beat Republicans easily with economic populism. That's all it takes. We don't got to play party politics. We don't got to have political power. We just got to give good speeches. That's all it takes, right? And this is how she did in her race. To be fair, any Democrat would have lost by this much. Actually, no, they probably would have lost by a little bit less if they were a more conservative Democrat. But to be fair, they would have lost no matter what. A Democrat isn't going to win this seat. But this is a brutal performance. And, we are not cracking voter bases that we need to with this, whole theory of, economic populism is going to save the day no matter what. But yeah, it's really funny that she has a reaction, that adverse to AOC that quickly.
It's 1602, but the other reason why Nancy Pelosi is at the top of the party is because she's one of the most prolific fundraisers and she gets it from big money donors. Ocasio-Cortez rivals Nancy Pelosi in fundraising, but Ocasio-Cortez gets all of her money through small dollar donations from regular people.
True.
So this was her trying to, and they bring this up in the article too. They're like, oh, it appears like this is a good sign for democratic unity, even though the establishment centrist types hate the fact that she gave the money. So,
bro, That's what we want. You hold their feet to the fire. If they have a constituency that supports AOC's politics and they don't want money from her, that should hurt them politically. Like,
So what's going on here? What's going on?
we want people to see AOC as a real Democrat, as a regular, or not a, I don't want to be seen as regular Democrats, but what I'm trying to say is we should be taking over the party. So we need Democratic voters. We need to be real Democrats in the sense where we are the new party. We are the new Democratic Party, but we also need to say, like, we are going to be better. We're going to be the old Democrats at the same time, you know, pro-union, pro-multiracial working class coalition, like all that stuff. But at the same time, we need to get those voters that support like a Pete Buttigieg in the primaries.
Going on here? I mean, listen, I wish the answer wasn't this gross, but I think it is this gross. Ocasio-Cortez, I don't know how many of you recall this, but recently she was up for a vote for a committee assignment. It was viewed as like a foregone conclusion that she would get that committee assignment. And
Okay, yeah. This committee assignment thing isn't true. It wasn't a foregone conclusion or whatever. But that's the thing. We need a mix of populism. We need a mix of outside politics and inside politics working at the same time.
for a vote for a committee assignment. It was viewed as like a foregone conclusion that she would get that committee assignment. And then she lost because virtually all the establishment centrists rallied against her and they picked somebody who's a conservative Democrat. And
Yeah, they were mad that she supported progressives in primaries against their candidates. Like, of course they're going to be mad about that. This is politics. What do you want them to do? That shouldn't affect your decision-making process. Like, this is how it works. It's not a clean game. We have to be able to win. And we're not going to win by just sitting out of like protest.
conventional wisdom is the reason they voted against her is because there have been a number of examples of Ocasio-Cortez supporting primaries against elected establishment Democrats. And in Washington, D.C., that's viewed as complete heresy. That's viewed as like, how dare you? We all made it inside the club, and now you're launching cruise missiles at other
pragmatic populism.
people inside the club.
I like that.
That's not acceptable.
I like
so
that,
this was
dude.
a way to try to discipline her, to get her to fall in line and be a good little girl for the party. And that's exactly
See these emotionally charged statements? Be a good little girl. They hate you. They hate you, progressive voters. They hate you. These establishment centrist corporate Democrats are all evil, and anyone who supports them simply isn't a real like. We need a politics of addition, not subtraction. That's all I'm saying.
exactly what she ended up doing. So this is her waving the white flag and saying, okay, my bad. Yes, I bucked the party narrative perhaps too much, and so now I want to get back in everybody's good graces. What can I do to help? And then she donates $160,000 to centrist Democrats in more so-called moderate districts. These are anti-Medicare for all Democrats. And so this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez trying to get back in the...
How are you going to pressure? Okay, how are you going to pressure Democrats to do better things if they don't have any political power? Like, they can just say Republicans. We need the You would think, after what we have seen in the first couple months of the Biden admin, you would think that people would realize, like Kyle Kalinske would realize, how important it is that Democrats have a majority, not only because of getting policies through, but also for pressuring Democratic politicians. Like, instead of, there's like tiers to it. So if Republicans own the Senate and the House, then everything's going to be blamed on Republicans, right? If Republicans hold it, every policy that doesn't go through, Democrats can say, "Well, I don't know what we're doing. I can't get any policies through." Mitch McConnell. If Democrats own the Senate and the House by slight majorities, they can be like, "I don't know what we're doing. Joe Manchin is stopping us. We can't do any better. Joe Manchin's stopping us." If Democrats have a huge majority in the House and the Senate, that's a great opportunity to push Democrats left. Because there isn't the Republican threat. There isn't the threat of Joe Manchin holding up every bill. So the party having power is big for multiple reasons. And also we need the party to be popular because in America, there are two major parties. And if we want Medicare for all or any of these big changes to happen, we need Democrats to be more powerful politically. And we need to be the new Democrats. It's a very, that's how it needs to be done. That's how it's going to be done if it does happen. We're not going to have a big populist party come like Sagar and Crystal think from Rising or whatever.
The good graces of the establishment. That's what this is. Because they came after her when she stepped out of line and endorsed primary opponents against some of them. And instead of doubling down on that fight, being very public with that fight, growing a backbone and saying, no, I'm supporting primary opponents against you because you guys aren't for Medicare for all.
instead of tanking her political power, she gains more political power. So she didn't get the seat because she went against. Okay, these are very. This is called doublethink, right? When he's like conflicting himself or like contradicting himself.
For all. You guys aren't for the policies that I'm for. You're not for the American people. Instead of doing that, what does she do? Okay, you win, but please, don't come after me anymore. Don't kick me off committees anymore.
It's not
Don't
emotional
do anything
like
negative
that.
against me because now I'm gonna help you.
It's
and it's like I think she's doing like
calculated.
$5,000 a pop to a bunch of them. So I mean, there is literally no way of spinning
Why
this.
is he talking like we're having a shouting match in a parking lot? This is politics, not a playground. Like, come on,
That
dude.
could potentially be positive for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
She was
I mean, I
mean
guess
to
you
you.
can make some sort of stretch theory of
Now
like
she's being nice.
she's donating to them in order to try to tank their campaigns because she knows that it might hurt them if they're associated with her in that district.
Yeah, Kyle
so-
definitely just like scanned through the Politico article and just
So it's like
went
a
off on it.
High-level chess move of like, oh, I could tank them by acting like I'm helping them because now my name is associated with them and they're going to be attacked.
No,
on
that would be.
But that's not true. I don't think that's true at all. I think the reality is what I described, which is she knows that, the establishment doesn't like her because she stepped out of line one too many times, and so now she's trying to be a good girl and get back in their good graces. So this is her trying to play ball
A
with the
good
club
girl.
in order to.
Do you think he would say good boy? I don't know. Maybe he'd call Bernie a good boy. He did call Bernie an idiot before. Remember he said either Bernie Sanders doesn't really care about the issues he's fighting for, or he's not that politically smart. Kyle Kulinski actually said that, and he said that about AOC too. Kyle Kulinski said, verbatim, Bernie Sanders either doesn't care enough, or he simply isn't smart enough. Kyle Kulinski from his bedroom in New York said that about Bernie Sanders. Interesting.
To get along with them and not be an outcast. I really think there's no other logical explanation. And so, I mean, this is a betrayal of what she was sent there to do. She was sent there to shake things up. She even said it, hey, if I'm a one-termer but I get shit done, I'd rather be a one-termer and get shit done than.
Yeah, I think Kyle's a decent guy. It's not like his fault he's a little bit silly. He's a little bit silly in politics. He gets too emotional about it. Like, his politics trains you to be adverse to human beings, I think. Like, there's a lot of people who are very much working class who did support Joe Biden. Like, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders were the two working class candidates as far as demographics go. I know he doesn't talk about the black working class that much, but that is true. When it comes to class background, Joe Biden he got most of the working class black voters and working class voters in general. We're split between him and Bernie. Kyle's politics sort of trains his viewers to come up to somebody, and if they say I supported somebody other than Bernie Sanders, his viewers might have an adverse reaction to them. When I was big into the Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore fan club, whatever, I used to be like that. If somebody said to me that they supported Elizabeth Warren or they supported Pete Buttigieg or they supported Joe Biden, I probably wrote them off as an idiot before, or I wrote them off as somebody who simply is too dumb to get what's happening. Before. But now I'm like, you know what? People have legitimate concerns. They have reasons to support different candidates. It's totally legitimate.
Be there forever and not get anything done. This is a betrayal of what we sent her to do. I mean, when we created Justice Democrats, and she was one of the first Justice Democrats, the whole conversation was the people that we're electing are for our policies. They can't be corrupt. They can't take any big money or corporate money. And they have to be for, Medicare for all, free college, a living wage, ending the wars. They have to be for all the right things. And these are the only people we're supporting. And now, with all of the name recognition she has and all the influence and power she has, she's trying to go along to get along and donate to more centrist candidates. And by the way, their reaction is just too perfect because it shows you what we knew they were going to do anyway. Even with her trying to get along with them now and helping them, they run to Politico, they run to the media to be like, we don't want your help, we don't like you, we don't agree with you. So she's trying to
One article was written about this from Politico, and Fox News wrote the same article basically.
be extra nice to them to get along.
And don't forget, Justice Democrats was literally just the poster child or whatever, or what's it called, a poster boy, whatever. He was on the front page. He spread the awareness of it to get a big fundraising base online. I guess him and Cenk technically wrote the platform, whatever that means, but it's really just copy and pasted from Bernie Sanders. They didn't really do anything to build on that.
And they still spit in her face. It's like, you want to sit her down and say, what did you learn? What did you learn? These people don't like you. They're never going to like you. They're never going to agree with you.
It doesn't matter if people like you in politics. It matters if you win. It matters if you can help people.
And what you're doing is absolutely pathetic, donating to them, trying to get back in their good graces. No actual...
I can't imagine talking to somebody that I know, because I know a decent number of people who work for, lobbying and, communications companies. I can't imagine them watching this. They would cringe so much because they're willing to play ball to get political power. And progressives who are willing to do that as well, like Bernie Sanders and AOC, end up creating the most change. You get the populist energy, and then you funnel it in a way that changes inside politics. That is their center of political power, is grassroots energies, grassroots energy, popular policies, a big fundraising base, all that stuff. That is their root of political power. And they're trying to be actual policy advocates instead of just policy like cheerleaders from the outside. They're trying to actually affect change. And oh my God, dude, like getting in real politics really makes me see how Kyle Kalinske is missing the mark here even more.
Lefty should be supporting any Democrat, especially in like primary elections, if they're not supportive of our policies. Why would you do that? The only reason you do that is because you're a tribal, partisan, blue no matter who clown. And you think rah team, yay
dude,
Democrats, no
no
matter what they actually do substantively. And I think that's stupid. I think that's stupid.
I don't like Pelosi because I think she's bad at messaging. I think she pushes for not the best policies. I think she's bad with the media. I do think the only reason she's in that position is because of money she brings in, honestly. I just think she isn't a good representative of the party, which is basically your job, right, as a speaker.
How have
That's
the
who you vote to
attempts at
represent
marginal
you
improvement
in-
gone over the past few
in
decades?
the most democratic
How have they
branch of
gone?
government.
You take one step forward and two steps backward, because then when you do the incremental change, the Republicans come in there and destroy it and make things even worse.
Yeah, exactly, Erica. Like, yeah. Because we always heard about Bernie Sanders. People in Washington don't like him. But because Bernie Sanders didn't want to say happy birthday to fellow politicians. And I totally get that. That's my mood too. Like, I don't like that shit either. But at some point you have to be able to say like, hey, I have to get this stuff done for the people. I have to wage political power in some sense. Like, you have to do some things you don't feel comfortable with or you don't like do eagerly. It's not all going to be a big game, you know? It's not all going to be a fun screaming contest in politics. A lot of it is really grimy, I don't know, behind the scenes. Like, we need to be friends with each other. Even if our goals don't completely align, like Pete Buttigieg, we need some politicians like that to be in our good graces, or we need to be in their good graces. Because when we need a vote on a certain bill, we need to get that through. Or when we want to, Bernie Sanders was the amendment king, or whatever they called him. Every little piece of legislation or public opinion that you influence as a politician is a big freaking deal. And you don't want to throw that away, out of a temper tantrum like Kyle wants to do.
This stuff isn't going to stand the test of time. FDR's rolling over in his grave right now, looking at how this party
What do you mean? FDR was literally the epitome of waging political power. He wasn't some type of like outsider lefty populist socialist. That wasn't who FDR was. I hate the way he talks about FDR because, oh my God, it feels like he has no historical freaking understanding whatsoever.
The reform era.
He wasn't a socialist or anything. He was pushed by socialists when he got into a position of power because he was also a policy wonk. He listened to people like that. Imagine if socialists back then literally just said, I'm not going to be involved in government whatsoever. Like, oh my God, dude, I can't stand it.
Even with her reaching out to these centrists and establishment types and giving them money, they still spit in her face. So she's doubly embarrassed and besmirched. It's beyond pathetic. They're never going to like you. They're never going to agree with you. So you may as well have the courage of your convictions and stand up and fight for the things you believe in and take everybody down along with you. You know what I mean? Like, go out with some dignity if you're going to go out.
Do you hear the way he's talking right now? Go out with dignity and honor. Bro, calm down. This isn't a play. Are you acting right now? Are you giving a little monologue, like a what's it called? I don't know, like a dramatic speech to the crowd?
These guys are assholes. They've always been assholes. So why are you trying to go along to get along with them when they're going to spit in your eye anyway? Unless, of course, you don't really believe the things that you claimed you believed in.
There he is, saying oh my God, this entire video is the same thing I brought up earlier. Either AOC is too dumb to understand, or she doesn't truly care. That's what he says about everybody. Imagine making these statements about so many people. Like, if somebody made that, and they make those statements about me, obviously. Like, I either don't care because I'm not yelling, or I'm like, Jesus, dude. It's such a moral, like, absolutist position to take. Like, you're either morally pure, or you're either principled, or you're like a corrupt politician. Whatever they mean by
ultimately,
principled.
The higher goal for you is climbing within the party. And I don't want that to be the case. But reading a story like this, it's hard to not conclude that. Because there should be no scenario wherein Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez donates to Democrats who are against the left's main policies. So, again, completely unacceptable. She's really giving a lot of ammo to her left-wing critics here. For sure. Do I think there's
All right, Andrew. Comparing him to Infrared may seem like a meme, but there's a certain congruence between populists. Like Tim Pool, Demi Jor, Kyle Kalinske, Crystal, and Sagar from Rising, there is a certain, agreement between them that they want to burn stuff down. And if building requires working within the system in some sense, then they don't want to build anymore. They would rather go down being principled than create positive change and take some hits. Play the game a little bit.
Some criticisms of her that are completely unfair. I do. But any criticism over this is absolutely fair. It's absolutely fair. You're donating to people who are ideological enemies within the party. If there is a democratic civil war going on, and there is...
Yeah, exactly, Achilles.
You're taking the side of the enemy in that battle. You're taking the side of the corporatists. Why would you donate money to them? You should be launching attacks against them, using public pressure campaigns to get them to fall in line behind our popular policies. And this is not that. It's not even close to that. Oh my God.
Yeah, don't forget he doesn't know how to read Medicare for All polling either. That was a big period of my channel, the forced to vote debates. That might be my favorite period so far. That was my favorite overall moment. Twitter is not America. That's probably my favorite video on my channel.
It really is depressing, man. This makes me depressed. What has happened to her? $160,000 to establishment Democrats, and they spit in your face anyway and embarrass you anyway.
All right, enough of the emotion. Let's look at the comments. All right. Okay. So she doesn't take corporate money. She just takes yours and gives it to Democrats who do. Here's the Mama Bear quote. People are really ass mad about that. Where is this one quote? Somebody said, making fun of her. It's funny. All the right-wing channels made fun of her for crying at the border too. Interesting. Somebody said a really funny quote, and I put it on my community tab. I guess I can just pull that up really quick. Somebody said, shit, where is it? All right. Where is my community tab? Yo, thank you so much, some guy, for $20. Excellent stuff, Jolah. Kyle has gone off the rails. He's a grifter. Would be great to see you debate him one day. I'm waiting for that Vosh Kyle Kalinske conversation, honestly. Here I am right here. I guess it's time to talk about Kyle Kalinske again. There's somebody said in the comments, sugar, whatever. They said AOC is literally not a far lefty, nor is she big and bad. AOC is a ladder climbing careerist who's angling to be speaker one day. I'm like, dude, speaker one day. AOC is angling to be speaker one day. Yes, she wants political power. Do Kyle Kalinske and Jimmy DORE fans realize the irony in their populist rage political approach? Like, yes, AOC is trying to get actual political power. That's the goal. Yeah. Yes, please, actual political power. I want that big time. That's how you create change. You don't create change by just yelling. You know. All right. What's next? Beau of the 8th column, or more Kyle Kalinske? I guess we can look at this. Yo, 80 viewers, thank you for coming here and liking the stream to talk about Kyle Kalinske, and other stuff. All right, I don't know if I'm going to make a video off this. Oh yeah, drop a like on the stream. I don't know if I'm going to make a video off this, but I want to talk about this. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't see his actual take, though. Main screen? Yes. So Charles Barkley, NBA commentator, said something that's very Tom McDonald-ish. Oh my God, Tom McDonald, I love him. But Charles Barkley, NBA legend, a host of Inside the NBA, went viral for a political comment where he essentially said, guys, white people aren't all evil. Guys, black people aren't all evil. Let's just get along. He's a big Republican donor, and he said some really questionable things about Breonna Taylor in the past, and he said some weird stuff on some other issues as well. This is what happens. People, here, I'll let you actually watch first.
Charles Barkley went viral the other day. He was hosting, I don't even think this is on NBA on TNT, which is the show they're normally on. I think this was for the NCAA tournament, but I don't know if you're talking about George Floyd in particular, the case that's going on right now with George Floyd, or something else, but look at...
And Shaquille O'Neal is a big Republican donor, too.
His comments here that blew up on politics.
Pretty sure. He might have voted Biden, though. No, Shaq voted Biden because he realized Trump was way too crazy.
But look at his comments here that blew up on politics.
Shared that news, how painful it was.
Yeah, but the one thing I took out of that piece was, man, I think most white people and black people are great people. I really believe that in my heart. But I think our system is set up where our politicians, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, are designed to make us not like each other so they can keep their grasp of money and power. They divide and conquer. I truly believe in my heart most white people and black people are awesome people, but we're so stupid following our politicians, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. And their only job is, hey, let's make these people not like each other. We don't live in their neighborhoods. We all got money. Let's make the whites and blacks not like each other. Let's make rich people and poor people not like each other. Let's scramble the middle class. I truly believe that in my heart.
You know, this is really bland populism, but I don't mind the messaging completely as long as it is directed in the correct way. So Charles Barkley, being a very conservative person, he says this to avoid a more broad conversation about like systemic racism. So if we get close to the truth of systemic racism and like all these issues in our country, he'll bring up like very individual examples like, hey, white people and black people are good people, which isn't even what we're talking about when we talk about systemic racism. We're talking about like systemic oppression, a system of oppression, a system that needs to be fixed, a system that needs to be recovered. Charles Barkley is simply talking about like, if we all come together, they're trying to separate us by race. It is true that elites do separate normal people by things like race and social categorization. That is completely true. But if there is populist energy caused by like a quote like that, it needs to be directed in a way that is positive, not to avoid a conversation about race, but to address it. Like, yes, poor people have problems. All poor people have problems, but we still need to be able to talk about, how black people have it different. We cannot let down this social justice cause. That's a big part of what we're doing here. And Kyle Kalinske, I feel like he's more like a class, like, I don't know what class reductionist actually means, but it feels like he's that.
I mean, Corn and I have both said it for a long time. NBA on TNT is the best show on TV. I don't even think it's close. They're hilarious. They don't just talk about basketball. They talk about everything. They joke around. When they get into politics, it's really interesting. They're the most honest, real people on TV. So I've always been a fan of Charles Barkley. Even every now and then he says something I totally disagree with, but I always like him because I know it's coming from the heart. It's coming from a good place. And what more can you ask of somebody than to be honest with you 24/7, even if sometimes you massively disagree with them? But this is an instance where I don't massively disagree with him. I think he almost perfectly nails it. It's a tick off, but I think he almost perfectly nails it. So let's.
I don't know. Yeah, you can probably say that, like, on Rising, bland populist statements. A lot of people agree with it. Hunter Biden had an interview. Okay, this one. Horseshoe theory. True. Study ranks AOC as one of the least effective members of Congress. So when you look at how good a politician is at affecting change, you can't do what this study does and simply do a statistical analysis off of bills like passed or whatever. You need to look at how they are influencing public opinion. You need to look at how that influenced public opinion is changing how bills are coming out. You have to look at amendments they push through. For example, like a big infrastructure bill like Biden is pushing through right now. She's not going to get credit for that, but has her influence changed how this policy is going to come out? Has Bernie Sanders' influence changed how this policy is going to come out? Yes, probably. These are called policy entrepreneurs. Policy entrepreneurs can affect policy in many different ways. So, for example, Andrew Yang, he did not pass a single policy. He did not even work in government whatsoever. But as a policy entrepreneur, he made, the concept of a UBI so well known and popular that was the go-to during the pandemic. Or he is one of the people who helped change the public attitude towards that perception. So, like, studies like this, I think, leave a lot of stuff out, especially when you're a fringe political actor like AOC. You're not going to get a lot of your own shit through because people aren't going to want to vote for a bill that has AOC's name on it. There's an example of Bernie Sanders where if he wanted a policy through, he may actually tell somebody else to draft the bill for it. Because if his name was on it, since he was such a political outsider, since Bernie Sanders was a self-described socialist, people wouldn't want to sign on to his bill. But if he wanted that bill done, he said to somebody else, like maybe Elizabeth Warren, hey, how about you make this bill? I'll support it so we can actually get it through because people aren't going to want to support what I'm on. This is what happens with a lot of people who are fringe politically.
Unfortunately, I got to do one more story on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez here. This is not good for her. Take a look. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was among the least effective members of the last Congress, according to.
What's with Kyle Kalinske lately? Whenever it fits his agenda, he'll watch he'll read a corporate article and believe everything.
A new survey from the Nonpartisan Center for Effective Lawmaking, a joint project of Vanderbilt University and the University of Virginia. AOC introduced a total of 21 bills, which the center defined as substantive. But that is where the story ends. Her legislation received no action in committees, no floor votes, and none ever became law according to the center, which takes its data from Congress.gov. Quote, she introduced a lot of bills, but she was not successful at having them receive any sort of action in committee or beyond committee, and if they can't get through committee, they cannot pass the House. Alan Wiseman, a Vanderbilt political scientist and co-director of the center, told the Post. Quote, it's clear that she was trying to get her legislative agenda moving and engage with the lawmaking process, Wiseman added, but she wasn't as successful as some other members were, even among other freshmen, at getting people to pay attention to her legislation. So when you look at the numbers, among Democrats, she was 230th out of 240. 230th out of 240. Now, some might say, well, if you're the left flank of the party, this is just what's going to happen. That's actually not true, because I think they referenced, was it Rashida Tlaib? I think it was Rashida Tlaib, who actually ranked pretty well. She had a number of her bills were voted on. So, now, let's talk about how everybody's going to react to this, okay? What I saw, believe it or not, is the right is
Okay,
saying,
signing on to a bill with Rashida Tlaib, all due respect to her, is not the same as the giant that is AOC. That's a lot different.
no, that's actually not true. She's incredibly effective. That's weird. Well, why would they?
And if Kyle Kulinski thinks AOC plays nice with Democrats, he needs to look at Rashida Tlaib's record.
Appears to be a relatively empirical way of judging it. You know what I mean? Like, there's very little opinion in this. They're just saying, look at the number of bills they proposed, how many got any action in committee, how many were voted on, how many became law. See, it's a very empirical way of looking at the situation when it comes to policy. But on Fox News, they had to say, oh, no, that's not true. She's actually one of the most effective. Now, why are they saying that? They're saying that because they want to have their boogeyman. They want to have somebody where, they could scare their 87-year-old audience about on a daily basis, and they've settled on AOC, and so they don't want to lose that as a propaganda argument that they make 24/7. And so they're insistent that, no, well, policy is not really the thing that matters the most. What matters the most is the culture, and she's impacting the culture more than anything, and so therefore we disagree with the way that they looked at this, and she's actually, incredibly effective. That's what the right is saying. The left I actually haven't seen say anything on this. I think most of them are just dodging this report that came out, and they're not talking about it. But yeah, you could say, one argument the left could make is, well, it's not her fault that the rest of Congress is phenomenally corrupt and bought and owned by big money interests. And
Okay, we don't have to say corrupt, but yeah, Congress doesn't like her. She's a freshman congresswoman, very polarizing, one of the most popular politicians, or well-known politicians in the country. They might not want to vote on her legislation, like I said.
And so, yeah,
that
you
is
might be
one
an effective
factor.
lawmaker and get your bills passed, but all your bills would suck, and they would serve Wall Street and the military-industrial complex and corporate America. And so, should we celebrate that? Should we call that effective? Sure, it's effective, but it's effective towards negative ends.
And if you only, let's say, for example, you release legislation on something very minor and get it through, does that count to this study? Like, people always made fun of Bernie Sanders for renaming a post office, right? Does that count for this study? Does that matter more than influencing public opinion on the Green New Deal?
So it's almost like, are you punishing her for actually being idealistic and having good ideas, and the rest of Congress sort of stonewalling her good ideas? So that's one argument that the left could make. They could say, hey, it's true, but that's not her fault. It's because the rest of Congress is so phenomenally corrupt, and she's not getting anything done because they're all corrupt and she's not. And so her priorities never get through. That's one way to look at it. The way I look at it is, that's partly true, the left-wing theoretical argument I just made. But yes, it's also the case that she is, first and foremost, somebody who tweets all day and somebody who generates media attention. And is there something to be said about that? Sure. But is that the end-all be-all? No. And I do think the fact that she's this ineffective is an indictment on her. I do. Because, and this is a point I've made
Is he going to say she doesn't fight enough?
1,000 times on this show, and you would think it shouldn't be controversial. But it is controversial. Now, you guys hear it and you might totally agree. But, there's a lot of people who say they agree and then go on to disagree with this in pretty blatant ways. So, the real way, if you're on the left and you want to get stuff accomplished in Congress, there's a few ways to do it. One way is doing the type of bipartisanship that's on your terms. So in other words, there are Republican congresspeople who want to end wars. There are. There's a number of them. So what you can do is you can work with the libertarian right on ending wars. You could work with the libertarian right on civil liberties and anti-Patriot Act stuff. You could work with them on ending the drug war.
Bro, the study was on shit she wrote. It's not talking about her overall political impact. This is a very limited study. Like, even if she did this, if she signed on to somebody else's bill about ending the conflict in Yemen or whatever, like Bernie Sanders did with that one Mike Lee guy, that wouldn't be involved in this study.
You can work with the few people who are populist right on, like, the $2,000 checks. There were a number of Republicans.
Yeah, Kyle Kulinski unironically uses the right-wing framing that she just tweets all day.
Or the $2,000 checks. You could work with people on the populist right on trade policy because they say, okay, we want to increase U.S.
Because I'm sure AOC writes every individual tweet.
manufacturing, and so we want to stop outsourcing jobs. You could work with them on stuff like that. So you can form alliances on very specific issues with different factions of the right. On some economic stuff, there's a handful of populist right people you could work with, and along with a number of people on the left who will work with
What
you
is he talking about? What, bill is going to pass through committees that like Josh Hawley and AOC would agree on, that other Democrats and Republicans would like hop on to as well. What is he talking about?
And on, again, war, so foreign policy, civil liberties, the drug war, you can work with the libertarian right people who agree with you on that.
Ooh.
And you got a number of people on the left as well. So that's one way of doing it.
The parties are in complete gridlock, especially since frickin' Trump is out. Like,
partisanship
it's
on your terms.
hyperpolarization.
That would, and Ro Khanna has proven that this is effective.
Partisanship on your terms?
Because Ro Khanna did it, Bernie Sanders did it with Yemen. The whole Yemen thing.
Yeah, that's the one example. I brought that up too. It's the one well-known example. It's the only example you can bring up.
Our support of the genocide in Yemen, that passed the House and that passed the Senate. It just died on Trump's desk. Okay, so but this can be done. This stuff can be done. That's one way to do it. But in order to do that, you need to not use the language of, oh...
But if it's somebody else's bill, they wouldn't give her credit for that. She voted for that.
All my colleagues on the right are irredeemable deplorables. And, they want me killed, and they're terrible people, and they're bigots, and they're racist, and this and that. Now, can you criticize them when they're wrong about stuff? Of course you can, and you should. But you need to be clear and specific, and don't be vituperative and over the top and hyperbolic and unnecessarily dramatic. And unfortunately, I think that's what AOC does all the time. So she's ineffective. Nobody really likes her there.
Wait,
now,
so she is, on one hand, not combative enough, but on the other hand, she is simply, she's too dramatic and radical. So for Kyle Kalinski's liking, she's too radical for the right, but too tame for the left. AOC is simply an idiot who tweets all day, and she is dramatic. She's an actor. This is really getting close to like Jimmy Dore, Richard Medhurst content, like honestly.
Some of that you can blame on them, of course, but some of that you got to look in the mirror. So that's one way to get stuff done. The other way to get stuff done is the strategy that is even more, impossible for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other people on the left, and it's honestly pathetic, but it's true.
What?
Copy the Tea Party approach. So it should be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
no.
Ro Khanna, Rashida Tlaib, Pramila Jayapal.
When AOC's bill doesn't go through and her policy isn't popular enough, what AOC should do is start lashing out. Just start screaming.
Mark Pocan, Raul Grajava, there should be a block, Ilhan Omar, of like a dozen left-wing congresspeople who are willing to hold bills hostage and who are willing to play, aggressive
hostage
politics.
To what?
Who are willing
what?
to block things when things need to be blocked, who are willing to band together and build coalition and take out the flamethrower when necessary to get people to fall in line.
Hey, dude, if somebody else wants to do this strategy, sure. If somebody else in the Progressive Coalition wants to do that, yeah, sure. AOC's role in this entire thing, as a policy entrepreneur, as a leader of the movement, her role isn't to tank her approval rating. Her role is to get support from Democrats, to be popular with Democrats, to be normal to Democrats, to suburban Democrats, to working class Democrats, to people of color who are Democrats. That is her job in this entire thing. Influence public opinion. Do what you can to influence legislation through that. That is her job. If Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar wants to take a big hit on their approval rating or whatever, to do something like that, to hold up a bill, to go on as, go shouting through Congress, I demand my policy to be voted on or whatever, sure. But people have different roles in this entire thing, and I think AOC plays her role decent. I mean, it's a pretty difficult thing to do. If you can find me another politician in American history that has done better balancing what she has to do, please bring that person up. I know Kyle Kalinski brings up like FDR, which I already said millions of times why that's a dumb comparison. But I mean, like, I don't know.
You would be so much more effective if you actually were principled and unapologetic.
Yeah, exactly, JKRT. AOC is trying to win over liberals who like Pelosi. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, that's what you got to do. It's a really, really controversial statement, I know, but you need to have voters like you to get wins in a democracy. You need voters to, you need voters to like what you're doing and to like you. So like if a Democrat votes for Democrats, what is a big complaint you heard throughout the entire primary about Bernie Sanders? What is a big complaint you heard? Oh, Bernie Sanders, he isn't even a real Democrat. He just runs as a Democrat for the presidential elections. Bernie Sanders doesn't care about the party. And I know, as much as it makes us, millennials and Gen Z and whatever the hell I am, I forget. What is 21? I don't know. But it makes us cringe being very dedicated to a political party. Although that is true. Old people change elections. So if you want to, and people are very polarized in how they vote. Many people do vote straight Democrat. So you need Democratic voters. Sorry, I mean,
energetic and aggressive on issues where you can
Wine
build that
moms.
coalition, hold that coalition.
unironically, that's why guns are talked about so much in the Democratic Party. It's because of wine mom votes. That's why Beethoven thought he was going to get a lot of votes when he said, "Damn right, we're going to take your AR-15s" on the debate stage. Remember that?
But they seem fundamentally incapable of mounting a public pressure campaign. They seem fundamentally incapable of taking on the fights that need to be, that need to be.
What else can she do to mount a public pressure campaign? Like, I think Kyle Kalinske has a big movie in his head about like political change, and he saw like a couple documentaries about the civil rights movement, and he saw people chanting in the streets, and he thinks that all politics is literally just people yelling with signs, and then if like enough people get into the streets, then policy will change. When it's a lot more complicated than that. And on these issues, you're not going to get millions of people marching on Washington. And even with that many people, it would be difficult to do. A lot of this power, I know soft power and hard power is usually used for like foreign affairs, but there is soft and hard power in politics as well, I think. Like soft power would be the implicit power that you get within the system by playing the game right and using your influence to exert pressure, instead of hard power, which would be like just like knocking on the door of the White House or whatever. Like that isn't possible. I don't know. Hey man, he believes in his vision though.
Taken head on. And
Yo, Mr. Beast on YouTube? Wow.
the result is, if you're not going to act like the Tea Party and have a coalition,
Wait, did he actually say to Crystal Ball what we need is a champion? Like in a, it's a documentary about Bernie Sanders. It's like him walking upstairs and Kyle Kalinske in the background. What we need is a champion. We need somebody principled, somebody who's willing to fight. We don't need these little baby dramatic little drama queens like Nancy, like AOC. We don't need them.
that's aggressive and direct in blocking bills and pushing your own bills.
Aggressive,
And you're not
direct.
going to do bipartisanship on your terms and build bridges
Bipartisanship
on
on your
specific
terms,
issues.
whatever
Well,
that
what's
means.
left? What's left is you rank, what is it, 230 out of 240 or something like that? You're going to rank 230 out of 240, and none of your stuff's even going to get a committee hearing. Definitely none of this stuff's going to be voted on. None of it's going to become law. So I just don't think she's good at the job of legislating. I don't. Now, again, some of that, to be fair, is because by definition, a lot of the stuff that she would focus on, that she would care about, like for example, I think the first bill she proposed was limiting the interest rate, like predatory interest rates. I think it like made it so that nobody could charge more than 12% interest, right?
Yes, Kyle Kalinski's politics. We need a champion. Bernie Sanders, you know what? He doesn't care. Bernie Sanders is too dumb to be our champion. AOC, guess what? She also doesn't care. AOC is also too dumb to be our champion. You know who really has it figured out? I haven't thought about this before. You know who really has it thought out? We need a champion. AOC, no. Bernie, no. Losers. We need Jimmy DORE.
And you have payday loan industry sharks who charge 200% interest, and so it would ban loan sharking effectively. It would ban predatory payday loans, and it would go
Universal
after big
biscuit
financial institutions
income,
as well, and
dog
limit the amount of interest they
president.
could charge. So yes, you can make the argument
True.
Congress is never going to go for that because they're so bought and known by financial industries.
A dog president would do the same amount that Joe Biden does. Presidents don't do shit. Just saying. The admins do. The party does.
that they're not
You
going to go
think
along with
Biden's
an idea
doing
that's so
anything
good
right
for
now?
the people and so bad for their donors.
Right now,
So,
Biden is like naked in front of his TV eating chocolate ice cream or whatever.
Yes, I just want to be clear. There is truth in that
sunglasses
criticism
on indoors.
that her agenda, by definition, is harder to get through because it's for the people, and Congress is not for the people. I think that's true. But I also think, there's a reason why Bernie Sanders
No, weed addict. I have this on faster speed.
was way more effective at getting stuff done. Do an apples to apples comparison. However, take the same time period for Bernie Sanders, and he got a lot more accomplished. Number one, they called him the Amendment King. He always managed to get amendments into unrelated bills that were phenomenal for the people. Number two, he worked with Ron Paul on a number of things that were successful. That's the libertarian
Yes,
right.
because he took his name off of it. But due to this study, or according to this study, if you take your name off of it, you wouldn't get credit in this study. Did Kyle read it? Did Kyle read the study? I don't think so. Okay, well, what's next? Okay, I'm gonna make the stream titled "I Hate Mike from PA" and see if he comes on. Here. I hate Mike from PA. All right, changing the title. There you go. Clickbait. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. Let's see. Beau of the Fifth Column drama. Who heard about this? Did you all hear about this drama yet? Beau of the fifth column.
Well, howdy there, internet people. It's Beau again.
Howdy there, internet people. Cloud chasing like this has worked for Mike. Hopefully it'll work for you too. Well, I actually have an opinion on this topic that is more than just trying to kill somebody, somebody's whatever, reputation. Mike from PA. Bobert. I know Erica is a big Bobert fan. All right. Which one would be better to watch first? Beau or Mike's video? He's gonna look at my sub count and say F that. Yeah, true. He only talks to people who he can get like a big subscriber gain off of, right? He only has 6.7 subscribers on YouTube though. To be real. Okay. All right, so this is the hit piece video right here. I'm gonna let Beau's video play first, and then go into Mike from PA's video, and then give my opinion on it, I guess. All right, so Beau of the fifth column is what I like to call a progressive Trojan horse. So the Southern drawl, he gives and presents progressive issues or opinions in a very trick him in debating you. True. All right, let me restart this. Yeah, it should have been Mike from PA versus Vosh, not freaking Demon Mama. They're just gonna freaking they agree on everything. You might learn something dark about Beau though. So it's Beau again.
Well, howdy there, internet people. It's Beau again.
It's Beau again. Sorry, I had to stop for a second because my throat was scratchy. Let me restart the recording button. Allergy season, baby. All right, so Beau of the fifth column is what I like to call a progressive Trojan horse, but he has a very dark past. A very dark past that Mike from PA put on blast. So you heard about this? 13 years ago? They're changing the format to a 2v2. Yeah. Dude, I can't do this intro to this dumb YouTube video. What should I say? No, it's not human trafficking. It's not that. It's bad, but... What's a tiff? You don't know anything about politics. Okay. Beau of the fifth column. I call him a progressive Trojan horse because he presents progressive issues in a very, easy way to receive by people. Wait, is my stream disconnected? All right, take number 4. Let me restart. Here's some ASMR for your ears. ASMR. All right. Let me adjust my microphone. Did Beau cringe when touching a woman's shoulder? That's a good video. You know what? We should watch that first, actually, to prime ourselves for what we're about to see. Mike from PA Simp.
Hey guys, I got a joke for you. Imagine a person who does this calling everybody else an angry incel.
Fine. I think that's fine. So if a guy pays for my tab,
I think I'm getting your attention. Like I touched, like a vampire touching holy water.
Can I help you?
It's like a vampire touching holy water.
I think they want to go in.
Okay.
Oh my
You wouldn't
goodness.
believe it, would you?
Okay. So let's talk about me. Mike from PA decided to make a hit piece about Beau of the Fifth Column. This hit piece talks about something Beau did that is very bad. He did this 13 years ago, and he served, I think, 41 months in prison. Mike from PA decided to try and get some clout off of it. So he made a video right here. I disliked it. It's a bad video. I'm going to let Beau talk first to give everybody context. Yes, play video. I know. This is take number 5 recording this YouTube video. Even though we're on YouTube, but whatever. I'm going to let Beau talk first to give context, and then Mike talk, and then give my opinion on the entire thing.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. So today is going to be a little different. Today we're going to talk about me, something I normally don't do on this channel. I try to make this channel about ideas, not the person presenting them. The story starts months ago, from what I understand, I think before the election, but I don't know the story's taking place yet. A non-government organization saw my content. They're like, well, we can use this. And they started paying to have it run as like ads when people would search for something bad, when they would search for how to join a bad group or a militant group, or when they would search for how to do something horrible.
This is very true, not only in the way he talks, but also sometimes people need somebody who looks like them or talks like them to get them to believe something. So if somebody is somewhat receptive to progressive issues, or, you know, they're receptive to populism, sometimes it takes somebody with a southern drawl and that looks like this to get them on the right path.
They would see my smiling face. They'd see that thumbnail. The idea, they click on it, they watch it, and they get de-radicalized. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, over the years, I've gotten messages from some of you saying that, you know, you were on a bad road, and my videos helped get you off of it. And to me, those were the wins. That's what really mattered. Actually creating some change there. So a couple months ago, when I find out this is happening, and a group that is dedicated to de-radicalizing people, find out they were using my content, man, I was flattered, very proud. A little taken aback at first because nobody had asked me if they could use my content, but to be completely fair on this one, had they come to me and said, hey, this is what we're going to do, I would have said yes. I would have said yes. I think it's amazing. I think it's a great program. I wanted to make a video about it then, when I found out it was going on. But I couldn't. I made a tweet about it, but I couldn't make a video. Because in order for this to work, it has to at least somewhat appear organic. You know, if you were searching for something horrible, and my video helped get you off that road, and you continued watching videos, and then you stumbled across one that says, hey, that thing that happened to you, that was totally intended. You might feel tricked. It might undo the good that was done. So I couldn't talk about it as much as I wanted to. Couldn't make a video. I couldn't imagine anybody not wanting a program like that to succeed. I mean, it's amazing. The idea of using just ads and content that already exists to stop violence, to save lives. I don't see how that could be a bad thing. But apparently there are some. There are some. Because a whole bunch of information started getting pushed out about me. Now, I don't know. I don't want to assign a motive. I don't know if it was directed specifically at me or it was an attempt to delegitimize and undermine the program. I don't know which, and I don't really want to speculate. But information started getting pushed out about me. Some of it's silly. He plays up his accent. And we've talked about it. Sometimes I do. I did a whole lot in the beginning. To stuff that isn't quite so silly. Everything from my past use of inflammatory rhetoric to everything I have ever done or been accused of, and some stuff that I was never accused of, all got pushed out there. If you don't know, even though we've talked about it on the channel, 10 years ago, 12, 13. But a long time ago, I got busted for alien smuggling. I know, shock, right? I guess this was, the idea was to paint it that this program shouldn't use people like me with that background. Which leads to the idea that the people who can reach those who are actively searching for how to do something violent are clean-cut people with no background. I don't know that that's true. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
So I want to give a quick summary of what I think about this entire thing. So 13 years ago, he was involved in alien smuggling. So what he would do, is he would seek out people who are in very weak positions and say to them, basically, you could be like indentured servants, and I'll get you into America. He was involved in a scheme that paid them less than minimum wage, and it was a really disgusting thing. This was 13 years ago. He served 41 months in prison, I'm pretty sure. And in 10 years, a long freaking time, by the way, in 10 years, he decided to change his life for the better. And now what he does is very good for the world. And it helps a lot of people. It makes the world a safer place. And him not being a clean-cut person may give him the rhetorical ability to reach certain people who are in very weak positions like he was in. People who may be looking to do bad things online. The way he talks is received by them very well. He does a very good job at what his purpose is in the world. A lot of times, if you're an alien smuggler or whatever he was 13 years ago, a lot of times you don't turn out on this side of that equation. You don't turn out to be a progressive person. You don't turn out to be somebody who wants to help the world move in a more equitable, equal place, And the way he speaks now is a complete contradiction to the person he was 13 years ago. Mike from PA randomly decided to make this hit piece video about Beau of the Fifth Column. Total clout chase. Total clout chase. He tries to make him, for something he did 13 years ago, look absolutely insanely disgusting today. As if the person Beau is today is the person he was 13 years ago. Ridiculous. And another thing that's pretty freaking bad about this, not only is it a shitty video, look at this guy. We have to talk about this very serious topic. I decided to do a private video behind my green screen with my man bun. I look very bad here, bad lighting, very pale. Bad look, Mike. At the end here, he says, where is it? I don't know if I can see it.
That is unacceptable, and we must reckon. If we are going to be advocates for immigration, for advocates for the downtrodden, advocates for people that are oppressed, we must hold our own accountable. Beau?
He was held accountable 13 years ago. He served time and took a completely different route in life. I don't know what else you can expect somebody to be held accountable. What else do you want him to do? Do you believe people can be reformed? Do you believe people can be better? What do you want from him? He's talked about this before. But now, Mike from PA got Beau kicked off of this service that was de-radicalizing people.
You must respond.
But the way Mike from PA ends it here.
Our own accountable. Beau, you must respond.
Beau, you must respond. You can give a good faith criticism of what he did. And you can say he isn't remorseful enough for it. Whatever that does for your emotions or whatever. But making a 35-minute video and then ending it with, Beau, you must respond. Total clout chase. If somebody who was completely genuine made a video like this, I would look at it a little bit different. But I just know Mike from PA and what he does to try and get any type of view, any type of clout, any type of views. He didn't link any sources. I assume, I think Mike from PA, I assume. I couldn't find any other hit piece videos. Yeah, a smuggler isn't the person who carried through the entire operation. Yeah, it's a pretty big spin. I mean, if Beau was walking around saying like I did nothing wrong, if he said something like I actually helped these people because I got them into America, then that would be terrible. If he didn't show signs of reform or improvement, that would be terrible. If he didn't serve his time, that would be terrible. If this was 2 years ago versus 13 years ago, that would be terrible. But for anybody who's over the age of 13, you probably know how long 13 years truly is. Um, I don't know. Do we want people to be progressive? Do we want to make being progressive a club for only the most pure people? Is being progressive just a social identity, or is it actually about making shit happen? I don't know, dude. I know Mike from PA has that video where he says he doesn't do real life politics because it hurts his bottom line. It hurts Mike from PA's audience. So Mike from PA doesn't do real politics as a result. So that person wants to make a video calling out somebody who's actually having a positive effect on the world. Um, an organization is using Beau's videos to de-radicalize people, and this organization is no longer doing this. Luckily, Beau is taking it upon himself to make his own organization with his reach online that'll try and do the same job of de-radicalizing people who are starting to fall down a very dangerous and violent path. I hope that does come to fruition. But Mike from PA, dude, he's one of the worst people on any of these platforms, and I'll say that I don't care. 100% one of the worst people on any of these platforms. Hypocritical, insecure. I think he does have a lot of self issues in the way he views himself. And I think the way he views himself is what creates this terrible persona that he expresses for the outer world. So like he hates his own life. It's like the old bully from high school thing. Like if you're a bully, you probably got beat up before, you know. Bullies usually have trauma behind them that's fueling their rage. I'm not going to call him a bully or anything, but like that's why he isn't a good person, I think. Biggest alpha male online. Oh, LA Times article? This is the actual reason he got kicked off. And then Mike from PA. Okay, but let me look. Beau. Fifth column. Okay, so I'll make sure I edit this for the start of the YouTube segment then. Thanks for pointing that article out. Oh, this is okay. Totally different topic. He didn't keep millions from what he did. Do you think people make... Okay. What proof do you have that he kept the money from what he did? He went to prison for what he did. For his role in what he did. Do you think if you do something illegal and make money off it, that they let you keep all the money you made from doing that illegal activity? If you go to prison, what do you think they do to criminals who make money off of doing something illegal? They don't just say, all right, you're going to prison, but you get to keep your the money you made from it. So here's the article. Los Angeles Times, effort to stem online extremism, accidentally pushed people towards an anarchist? Okay, anarchist being used to carry a lot of scary weight here, apparently. The idea began as a bait and switch. Give people searching for terms like join Oath Keepers or bomb instructions some content that seemed to fit their request, but instead offered alternative to extremism. So if somebody was Googling how to do something dangerous, or if they were Googling how to join a radical group, instead of being shown results to help them do that, they would be given a Beau of the fifth column video. And what this would do is help them hypothetically, and I think in practice, I think it's proven that it did work for a couple people. It would help them be de-radicalized. They saw somebody who has a paramilitary background, who talks like a Southerner, who looks like a Southerner, who looks like a conservative, and this person was able to lead them in a different direction. This method, developed by Moonshot CVE, is called The Redirect. Through partnerships with Google as well as the Anti-Defamation League, the British firm's goal is to dissuade viewers from pursuing conspiracies and violent rhetoric by luring them with advertisements to other sites. It's just one of dozens of ideas that tech companies are experimenting with as, in the wake of the January 6th Capitol insurrection, they come under increasing pressure to prevent the spread of extremism to their platforms. So internet giants are trying this method to stem online extremism, sure. This figure, known as the Beau of the fifth column, Moonshot, thought it had found the perfect person to redirect online users to, which is probably true. Broadcasting under a bare light bulb from a shed packed with camping gear, Beau appeared as a southern gun owner with progressive views. He had a calming demeanor, unkempt beard, military aura, and huge YouTube following. But Beau, whose real name is Justin King, also had a history of supporting anarchism. What is that supposed to mean? Like, anarchism, bad, scary word? And making statements that may seem anti-Semitic. He is a felon. This is written so poorly. He is a felon. Okay. Nice little 4-word sentence statement here. Cool. What did he say that seemed anti-Semitic? Do they have actual quotes here, or did they just say that without any proof? Okay, interesting. The fiasco over Moonshot's redirect experiment came to a head last week in Washington as federal legislators grilled the chief executive officers of Twitter, Facebook, and Google about extremism and misinformation. They sent people who were already looking for violence to a convicted felon with anarchist and anti-Semitic views? They sent people who were already looking for violence to a convicted felon with anarchist and anti-Semitic views. Right here. Okay. So if you get redirected to a Beau of the fifth column video, there is nothing on his channel that fits any of these categories. He doesn't talk about this whatsoever. The person they're talking about was only alive 13 years ago. This is gross. Jesus, dude. It raises one of the key questions about moderating online platforms. Who is vetting the vetters? We continue to need more transparency and accountability. And yeah, using anarchist as a scary word. Anarchist, oh no. Oh shit. Here's some stuff about big tech. The story of Beau's intersection with Silicon Valley began with the 2020 election season. Moonshot and the ADL teamed up last fall to dissuade internet users from pursuing conspiracies and violent rhetoric by luring them in with an advertisement to content that included his video. And by the way, hypothetically, let's say he is still a disgusting human being, which from what I've seen, he is not. He seems like a pretty good guy. Let's say he is a terrible human being. Consequentially, who gives a shit who the hell he is? I don't care if he's somebody that's like locked up in a room somewhere because he's like a convicted serial killer. I don't like consequentially seeing his videos. If seeing those videos de-radicalizes you and makes you not be violent and moves you away from extremism, who cares who the hell he is? And this is a hypothetical that isn't who he is. But anyway, who cares? Moonshot succeeded in creating 1.3 thousand engagements with its target audience, intercepting thousands of searches across the U.S., including more than 600 people who may have viewed Beau's clip after searching for content about the armed groups. So, like 2,000 people? Or, wait. No, thousands of searches. Okay. In general, just thousands. The video focused on how black armed men. That's not how you say that. That's not how you say words. The video focused on how armed black men are treated with undue suspicion by law enforcement and stressed the need for people of all races to work together for change, according to the company's report. Seems like a pretty cool message. I'm not sure if that is like something from Satan or something. I don't know. You know, people should all work together and not be extreme, and there's a bias against black people. That seems like a very scary felon and anarchist opinion. We better make a hit piece about it. Guys, LA Times, we gotta stop this right now. This is really scary. But in February, Moonshot received an anonymous complaint alleging that King, the independent journalist who plays the character, had been involved in violent far-left rhetoric. Are they going to talk about it here? King said in an interview with The Times that he is not anti-Semitic. Okay. He describes himself... Wait, do they... Okay, what did he say? Where is it? What was the violent... Does anybody know what he said that's violent or whatever? Let me unlock my computer again. I can't see anybody. Does anybody know what his violent quote was? And what his anti-Semitic quote was? They aren't saying it. But to love a stateless society, that's what anarchist means, where everybody gets along. That isn't like... I know some people who are violent call themselves anarchists, or some people who call themselves anarchists are violent or whatever. But yeah, but this is one of the issues with using political labels. People don't understand the nuances of it. In a post... Oh, here it is. In a post on his Fifth Column website, which began requiring a password on Saturday, King wrote in 2017 that it is imperative that we are capable of violence at a greater level than those who would seek to place us back under the yoke of tyranny. I mean, if you look at any revolutionary theory, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty commonly held idea. And violence doesn't just mean like a gun or whatever. Violence means you have to have power over a democratic process that controls the state. Violence can mean a lot of different things. So yeah, and by we, what does that mean? If there's a dictator, we want more power. And all power is backed by violence, right? I don't know. You can take that a lot of places. A one-word statement about this topic doesn't do it justice. But that is the danger of talking about politics. People are very simple-minded and they aren't going to look into it or care about the context. But yeah. This one sentence right here, you can easily write off the top of your head like a 50-page paper about it. With democratic theory, revolutionary theory, there's so many things to talk about there. In another article penned by King, he explained the reasons some feel violence against law enforcement officers is warranted. Though King said he has mellowed with age, he turned 40 recently. What did he say? He explained the reasons some feel violence against law enforcement officers is warranted. The reasons. Okay, what are... Yeah, like oppressive state. You may feel it's necessary if they're literally just like putting you behind bars for no reason. I don't know, like law enforcement can mean a lot of... Like if you're talking about law enforcement, every authoritarian state has used law enforcement to clamp down on individual freedoms. Is that justification? That's a pretty American thing, actually. Pretty American thing. It's not exactly adverse to the ideas that founded this country, but okay. Beau's very moniker nods to his ideology. A fifth column is a double agent who seeks to sabotage a group or country from within. Oh no, he's sabotaging America. Shit. In 2007, federal authorities... Ooh, Obama ran this year. Charged him and 3 Russian co-conspirators in a scheme that brought mostly young Eastern European women to Florida, to the Florida Panhandle illegally to work as maids in local resorts. King was sentenced to 41 months in prison. He and his accomplice... Yeah, I know somebody said in chat he made millions and kept it. That isn't true. Yeah, that's not true. He did not keep the money. You don't do something illegal and just keep the money you made off of it. So him and 3 Russian... Oh no, Russiagate co-conspirators... in a scheme that brought mostly young Eastern European women to Florida. They were maids who made less than minimum wage, I think. So in Florida, I think they made like 6... I forgot what the exact number was, but it was less than $725, I'm pretty sure. 41 months in prison, and they forfeited $1 million in assets. Interesting. Okay. Researchers at the Rutgers University Network Word Research Institute found his work on a number of sites they classify as disinformation, including Mint Press News, which the Institute... I'm getting tired of talking. I'm sure people are tired of it too. But anyway. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Beau did something terrible. So just to repeat what I said earlier, I mean, if you believe in rehabilitation in any sense, you shouldn't have any problem with what he's doing right now. Who he is right now isn't who he was 13 years ago. The influence he gives off to the world, consequentially, is really all that matters. If you want to purity test him or say he has something wrong with him and he needs to bow down and cry in front of you for you to be happy, I guess you can say that, but it has no worth for the actual world. As long as he admits what he did was wrong, he feels disgusted about it. His views on immigration are very radically different today than they were before. His mind seems very freed. You know, you don't even know how people get involved in situations like that. There's a lot of nuance to this. Yeah, but love it, dude. Cancel culture. Tom McDonald was right. Smuggling people after 9/11, 4 years after. On his channel, there are a dozen. Yeah, do you know who this helps? You know who this is helping right now? The far right. This is helping people who want to radicalize. This is helping because of left cancel culture. Tom McDonald was right, goddammit. Canceling Beau of the Fifth Column. This is what happens. Wow. The right would never cancel anybody for anything. And this guy did everything right. You know, to be where he was, to get where he is right now. Yo, Twitch chat for the win. I saw that. I don't to be where he is right now, that takes some work. That's some hard shit to do. To come back from, I know Eminem said that in Not Afraid, but like it is true. To come from down here and to be up here now, that takes a lot of freaking work. That takes a lot of like rebuilding yourself from the bottom, from like rock bottom. That takes a lot of freaking courage. That takes a lot of shit, you know. And then to become a public figure, to you know, spend your life making content like this, that's a big deal, I think. I kind of well, Erica, I think it was exploitative, but he mellowed. When he was 17, he was arrested for a joke he pulled, putting an adult alligator inside his buddy's house. Yeah, like Americans, regular people are much different from what we see online, dude. Everybody online tries to keep a squeaky clean, I can't talk. A squeaky clean image. They want everybody to be perfect. They want everybody to have no issues at all. But especially being on the left, you have to understand how environments and how systems affect the way people develop. If you grow up in a house with far right attributes, you're going to gain some of those exact traits. If you grow up in an environment that promotes radicalism or promotes violence or promotes that attitude, you're going to get those traits. Like, people got to be more understanding, bro. Yeah, the left. I'm standing up against cancel culture. No more cancel culture. Hate it. Okay, what's next? Oh yeah, I was going to talk about this boring article real quick. What a dumbass. Beta. I'm going to title it Jimmy Dore Bad. Jimmy Dore Bad. Here. Yo, what's up, Cliff Zhang? Okay, so this can be seen as another Kyle Kalinske attack. Hindsight is 2020. The idea that racism and white nationalism comes from being poor or comes from economic conditions may sound nice in a fairy tale setting. Like, hey, if we simply are economically populist enough, we can defeat racism. That sounds beautiful. That's why Kyle Kalinske loves it. That's why Crystal Ball loves it. That's why Jimmy Dore loves it. After the Capitol riots, they were misunderstood people who had systemic issues that made them act this way. That's how it works, right? But no, that is not how it works. When Robert Pape studied those arrested at the Capitol. He thought he'd find they were driven by economic anxiety. Instead, he found they came from places where residents were worried about immigrants and minorities taking over from white people. So, racism has always grown, lived, and thrived in the suburbs. It's not about economics. Poor white people are actually more likely to not be racist, to not be white nationalists than middle class and rich people are. The big determining factor here is if you live in an all-white community. If you live somewhere that is afraid of immigrants. If you live somewhere that is afraid of cultural displacement. That is the big debate here. Is it because people are feeling economic anxiety that they adopt these radical beliefs? Or is it because of cultural displacement? It's because of culture issues. It's because of culture war. No matter how rich a white person is, they are going to be more likely to be afraid that brown people are going to take over their country. That's how it is. The suburbs are much more likely to be dangerous for black people than a poor white community is in some areas of the country. Not in rural. Don't go to rural PA if you're black. But just in general, like Kyle Kalinske be like, hey, if we simply had Medicare for all, racism would be abolished. If we had the Green New Deal, racism would be gone. If we like gave everybody a UBI and all the white and black people realized that corrupt elites own our system, all racism would be gone. That's literally what they believe. That's why the ideology of populism overall else is so damaging. It's not fact-based. It's all emotional-based. If AOC did her job, racism would be eliminated. You're right. AOC, loser, causing the downfall of our country. Yo, how about this guy? How about this guy making jokes? McConnell, I found it completely discouraging to find a bunch of corporate CEOs getting in the middle of politics. My advice to the corporate CEOs of America is to stay out of politics. Don't pick sides in these big fights. What he's saying basically is keep the money coming, but don't get involved in it. Like, we're getting a lot of pressure right now. We're fighting the Democrats. Don't get involved in it because corporate America is choosing the opposite side of his fight now, and he's really upset about it. They're choosing Democrats, probably because they realized, you know, right-wing authoritarianism isn't that good for profits if the entire country collapses. That's probably why they're doing this. But it's so funny. This quote isolated is so hilarious. So funny, dude. You know, people on lefty Twitter are going to be like, wow, Mitch McConnell based socialist take, just like they do with Tucker Carlson. And how about this guy? I don't like this guy either. Joe Manchin. I called him Manchin. Dumb. So Joe Manchin said he doesn't like Joe Biden's infrastructure bill because it raises the corporate tax rate too much. So yeah, the Democrats are going to be able to pass 2 more bills through reconciliation, which is good because all you need is a simple majority, so they can get that done without any Republican support. The only issue is that Joe Manchin says he does not support an increase to 28%. He only says 25 is good enough. 28's far too much. It'll make our companies not able to compete with the rest of the world. Now, before Obama, or I think during Obama when he took over, it was 35%. Then Trump's tax cuts dropped it down to like 22, right? And Biden wants to put it up to 28%, which isn't even at the pro-Trump level or the pro-Obama level. But apparently that's too much. 28% too much. Manchin wants a 25% tax rate on the wealthy. You know, representing your West Virginian constituents. You know, on minimum wage, maybe West Virginians don't want that much. But on this issue, do you really think West Virginians are saying right now, you know what would help me out right now? We need to keep our corporate tax rate lower.